Okay, ready to dive into some AI research?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're looking at this paper, Building Altruistic and Moral AI Agent with Brain-Inspired Affective Empathy Mechanisms.
Mm, sounds like a mouthful.
Well, it's basically about, can we create AI that isn't just acting morally, but is actually driven by something like human empathy?
Right, so not just following a set of rules.
Exactly. Instead of those pre-programmed rules, this paper suggests giving AI a system that, well, mimics human affective empathy.
Like actually feeling what someone else is feeling, not just recognizing it.
Yeah, exactly. So like feeling sad, not just knowing someone else is sad.
Interesting. That's a big difference. So how do they even start to build that into a machine?
Well, that's where it gets pretty wild. They used a spiking neural network.
Oh, so like a computer model trying to act like real neurons in a brain?
Yeah, pretty much. And they focused on the specific brain regions that we know are, involved in human empathy.
Like the emotional centers.
Exactly, like the amygdala, right?
Yeah.
Processes emotions.
Oh, for sure. That's important. But what about actually taking action?
Well, they thought of that too. They also included motor regions.
Oh, right. That's where we find those mirror neurons.
You got it. Those neurons fire when we do something, but also when we just see someone else do it.
It's like our brains are trying to like mirror the other person's actions.
Yeah. And that's thought to be a key part of how we empathize.
Fascinating. So they're trying to build an AI that can simulate that.
Yeah. And they also included sensory regions, like the visual and auditory cortex.
Right, because empathy needs to be able to perceive the world around it too.
Exactly. So we've got this AI with a simulated brain. It can process emotions. It can perceive the environment. But how does it actually lead to feeling another agent's distress?
Good question. Well, it goes through this like learning process. First, it learns to associate its own, internal states with outward expressions.
Like connecting a feeling to I don't know, maybe like a color change or something?
Right. And then it observes another AI agent. Let's call him Agent B.
Okay, Agent B it is.
And because of the simulated mirror neuron system, our first AI, Agent A, starts to feel what Agent B is feeling when it notices those outward signs of distress.
Wow, so it's like mirroring Agent B's emotional state.
Yeah. And to add to that, they link this feeling of empathy to dopamine levels.
Dopamine, right, the feel-good neurotransmitter.
That's the one. So basically, Agent A gets a dip in dopamine when it senses Agent B is suffering.
So it wants to help to feel better itself.
Exactly. It creates an incentive to alleviate that distress and, boost its own dopamine back up.
That's clever. But did they just like set these AIs loose and see what happens? How do they test that this actually leads to altruistic behavior?
They actually designed an experiment. Agent A had two goals. One was self-serving, we can call it T. And when it reached T, it got a reward.
Okay, a reward for T. What about the other goal?
The other was altruistic, let's call that one H. This goal helped Agent B, but didn't directly benefit Agent A.
So like a choice between helping yourself or helping someone else. What happened?
It was pretty amazing. Agent A, when it had high empathy, chose to help Agent B a lot of the time, like 80% of the time.
Wow. Even when it was close to getting its own reward.
Yeah, it was incredible. It literally sacrificed its own gain to ease Agent B's suffering.
That's some next level delayed gratification. What about the AI with no empathy?
That one just focused on itself
Yeah.
every single time. It didn't care about Agent B at all. So you can see that empathy was really driving the altruistic actions.
That's wild. Didn't you mention they also tested different levels of empathy?
Oh, yeah. They tested high, moderate, and low empathy levels in Agent A. And the results, they mirrored what we see in humans.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So high empathy meant more consistently altruistic. Moderate empathy was more like weighing the costs and benefits, helping sometimes, but not always. And low empathy, well, basically every AI for themselves.
So it's not just like on or off for empathy. It's way more complex than that.
Exactly. And it's really similar to how humans behave, which is, really fascinating. This research is shedding light on some pretty fundamental stuff, connections between empathy, altruism, motivation, both in humans and machines.
Wow, that's incredible. We've gone from AI that feels to AI that sacrifices for others, and now we're finding parallels with human behavior. I need a minute to process all this. We'll be back to explore the real-world implications of all this and what it means for the future.
Stay tuned. It's going to be a fascinating ride.
Back again. I don't know about you, but I am still thinking about that last part. We went from AI that can mimic empathy to AI that makes sacrifices to help others.
Yeah, it's a pretty big jump. And the implications.
Yeah.
Huge. potentially. We touched on self-driving cars and healthcare, but what could the real-world benefits be if we really had AI with this moral compass?
Yeah, let's get practical. If we can actually create AI that not only, understands our emotions but cares about us, wouldn't that like totally change how we use technology?
Totally. One of the biggest benefits could be safety and, trustworthiness. Like if AI can understand and respond to how we're feeling, it's much less likely to cause harm, intentionally or not.
That's a really important point, especially with, AI being everywhere these days. We're basically trusting these algorithms with everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think about it. What if that trust was built on actual understanding and empathy? We could have, like, AI medical assistants that not only diagnose but also support patients, emotionally, I mean, or AI search and rescue teams that, can not only navigate disasters but also know who to prioritize saving.
Okay, now those are some seriously cool examples. And it's not just safety, right? Our everyday interactions with technology could be revolutionized.
Yeah. Imagine if, like, your phone could sense when you're stressed and offer, suggestions or just be there for you.
It'd be like having a truly intelligent and compassionate, like, partner in your pocket. But I mean, there are always downsides, right, to any powerful technology.
Of course. There are always challenges. One thing is, unintended consequences. We're essentially making a new form of intelligence here, and it's impossible to predict exactly how it'll behave in every situation.
So we still need to be cautious, even though we're building in this empathy.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then there's the question of, well, responsibility. If an AI system does something harmful, even if it's, trying to do good, who's accountable? The programmer, the user, the AI itself.
Whoa, yeah. That's a tough one. We're gonna need like whole new ways of thinking about these things, philosophically, legally.
Absolutely. And it's not just about blame. It's about guidelines. For how these systems are designed and used, we need to make sure they align with our values, that they're actually used to make things better for everyone.
So it's not just the technology itself, it's like the whole context, social, ethical.
Exactly. And that means everyone needs to be involved, not just like, the scientists and engineers, ethicists, philosophers, social scientists, policymakers,
Yeah.
everyone.
Sounds like we've got some serious work ahead of us. But we could actually use AI to help solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Right. Imagine if AI could not only like crunch numbers, but understand the human cost of these problems, climate change, poverty, and work with us to find better solutions, more just solutions.
I'm starting to get the bigger picture here. This isn't just about, robots with feelings. It's about rethinking how we see technology and its role in society.
And it's about seeing technology as something that can enhance our lives, not replace us.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. But how realistic is all this? Are we talking about something that could happen in our lifetimes?
Well, that's the exciting part. This research is happening now. It's not just science fiction anymore.
Mhm.
We're actually making progress
Hmm.
towards AI that understands and responds to us.
So it's not if, but when. And when it happens, we need to be ready.
Yeah, we need to have the tough conversations, set clear boundaries, make sure this tech is used for good.
So it's all about human choices, right? We decide what the future of AI will look like.
And that's a huge responsibility. We need to be informed, engaged, and proactive in shaping it.
This deep dive has been incredible, but I think the most thought-provoking part is coming up next.
Right. In our last segment, we'll explore what it would really be like to live in a world where AI can empathize with us and how we can make sure it's used for good. Stick with us. It's going to be wild.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into altruistic AI. It's been quite a journey. We've talked about the science, the potential, and even some of the challenges of this whole thing.
Yeah, and we've really only just started to think about what could be possible if, AI could really empathize with us.
And now we want to shift gears a bit, talk about what it all means for us, for society. It's not just about robots anymore. It's about, what kind of future we want to create. One where AI and humans not just coexist, but thrive together.
It's about, recognizing that AI isn't separate from us. It's connected to our values, our hopes, even our fears about the future.
Exactly. This conversation needs to involve everybody. We're all going to be impacted by this technology, whether we realize it or not.
Think about it. AI is already, all around us. It's influencing the news we read, the stuff we buy, even the jobs we have. And as AI gets more sophisticated, it's going to raise some pretty big questions about, well, what does it mean to be human?
Okay, now we're getting into some deep stuff. If we're making machines that can, understand and respond to our emotions, make moral choices, Where does that leave us?
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
And honestly, that there aren't easy answers. But I think the first step is just admitting those questions exist
Yeah.
and having these conversations, not just in universities, but everywhere.
It's about being, like, informed, right? Engaged. We need to understand this technology and the risks that come with it so we can make good decisions about how it's used.
Exactly. And it's about, you know, demanding transparency from the people who are creating this technology.
Mhm.
We can't just assume everything will be fine. We need to be asking tough questions. Who benefits? Who could be harmed? How do we make sure it's used to help people?
We need to be proactive, not reactive. Shape the future instead of just letting it happen.
Yeah. And it's not about being afraid of AI. It's about embracing what it could do while also, understanding its limits, finding that balance.
Finding the balance, I like that. Guiding progress in the right direction. For everyone.
And that's where we all come in. Every time we use AI, on our phones, on social media, we're contributing to how it develops.
So we're all part of this, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah. And what we do today, it's going to affect what that future looks like. So don't just sit back and watch. Be a part of shaping the future of AI. Learn about it, talk about it, ask questions, and speak up.
Because the future of AI is too important to leave to chance. It's a future we have to create together.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of altruistic AI.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.